You stood back from your workstation and tilted your head to the side, trying to view your progress from a different perspective. Carving pumpkins was one of your favorite fall activities. It was challenging, fun, and festive. You had somehow convinced the rest of the Baku squad to join you on your little trip to the pumpkin patch, even Bakugo himself. As soon as you made it back home to the dorms, everyone immediately set out to create their jack-o'-lanterns. Your pumpkin sat on the tabletop, in between Kirishima's and Bakugo's. You couldn't help but compare your work to theirs as you went along. On your right, Kirishima was making a classic jack-o'-lantern face. Maybe? It was frankly hard to tell. Kirishima was carving his pumpkin with his hardened fingertips. It wasn't exactly a tool meant for fine detailing. To the left, Bakugo was creating what you would consider to be a work of art made of pumpkin. While you, Mina, Sero, and Kaminari printed out templates to create your desired jack-o'-lantern design, Bakugo was literally free-handing the most complex pattern you'd ever seen. Although his face contorted with anger, Bakugo was completely focused, hands remaining steady despite his low grumbles, twitching brows, and clenched teeth. Seriously, why was he so good at everything he tried? It was annoying, to say the least, yet it was one of the many reasons you were drawn to him like a magnet. Your competitive nature kicked in as you went back to work. Perhaps you could even impress Bakugo if your jack-o'-lantern turned out well. Grabbing your knife from the tabletop, you shoved it into the thick skin of the pumpkin, hoping to make some adjustments to improve upon your design. You tried guiding the utensil in the shape of a curve, but the damn thing wouldn't budge, completely stuck within the wall of the pumpkin. In the past, you'd always had the appropriate tools on hand to carve pumpkins, but since the UA dorms had limited supplies, you had to make do with a simple kitchen knife. Suffice it to say, it wasn't necessarily making your task easy. You pushed down harder on the knife's handle, but it remained locked in place. Letting out a frustrated sigh, you changed tactics, attempting to pull the tool out of the pumpkin instead. Again you struggled, letting out grunts of exertion as you pressed down on the top of the pumpkin with your free hand for leverage. As you moved to give the knife one last yank with all your might, a large palm encircled your wrist.
You idiot! Are you really that weak?
You flinched at Bakugo's rough, agitated voice in your ear.
Quit struggling before you slice all your damn fingers off,
he barked. You did as he said, stiffening as Bakugo tightened his grip on your arm. He pulled gently and the knife easily slid out of the pumpkin. You rolled your eyes. Of course, it required little to no effort for him to dislodge the stupid thing. Bakugo moved his hand until it was covering yours on the handle of the knife. Startled that he hadn't let go of you yet, you started to panic. What the hell is happening right now?
Hold it like this,
Bakugo said roughly, demonstrating the proper technique. His hand was calloused but warm as it rested on top of yours. Despite your racing heart, it felt pretty nice. He stepped forward, guiding your joined hands towards the pumpkin, carefully showing you how to carve the pattern appropriately. Your heart was practically beating out of your chest at the intimate position you were in. Did Bakugo know what he was doing to you? You felt his hard chest press against your back, his deep breaths fluttering across the sensitive skin of your neck. Where did this tension come from all of a sudden? This had to be a dream. Your head was spinning, your knees were weak, and it was all you could do to keep from collapsing in a dramatic swoon right then and there. Everything around you seemed to fade away. You simply stood there, staring down at his hand holding onto yours for what seemed like hours. You were suddenly snapped out of your trance at the sound of several snickers. You both whipped your heads around to see your friends gathered around Mina's cell phone, clearly recording the entire interaction between you. Jumping in surprise, you felt yourself turn beet red from your neck to your hairline. You were absolutely mortified. You and Bakugo quickly stumbled apart, trying to repel as far away from each other as possible. As you moved, your hip bumped into the dining table harshly. In slow motion, you watched your pumpkin wobble before rolling off the table entirely. Of course, it bumped into Bakugo's pumpkin along the way, both gourds crashing to the floor simultaneously. You cringed, unwilling to open your eyes to see the damage. Cautiously, you peeked one of your eyes open, and your worst fears were realized. While you couldn't care less about your own pumpkin, Bakugo's work of art lied on the floor, intricate design dented and destroyed upon impact with the hard tile. You turned to the boy and noticed his eyes glazed over, looking down at his now destroyed pumpkin, his hands trembling by his side. To say he was angry was an understatement. He looked like he was about to go on a murderous rampage, killing everyone and everything in his sight. Bakugo stood with a growl ripping from his throat.
Are you kidding me?
Not a moment later, a huge explosion burst through the dorm kitchen. You barely had time to protect your eardrums with your hands. As the dust settled, you assessed the damage, coughing and waving the smoke away from your face. The dining table was basically shattered, wood pieces splintering off in all directions. All of your pumpkins were destroyed by the blast, orange chunks coating the entire kitchen. You felt slimy pumpkin guts slide down your forehead, and noticed that the other 5 teens were similarly covered in goop from head to toe. You were certain that the cell phone in question didn't make it out unscathed either. Looking over at Bakugo, you couldn't help but crack a smile. He was too cute, standing there with a scowl, hair matted down with pumpkin bits, chest heaving from the adrenaline as he tried to catch his breath. You turned away before he could spot your blush. What could you say? He looked good in orange.